Chris Edwards. I'm gonna teach you guys how to change a car tire when it's flat. First thing you want to do is pull over to the side of the road, get onto a level surface, and make sure your tires are facing all the same direction straight. And then what you'll do is turn off the car, take your keys out of the car, either pull your emergency brake or push it, depending on if you have a foot pedal or a lever on the side next to your seat. And that usually is going to be under the dash or next to your seat by your ignition. From there, you will go to your back of your car. You're going to set up and get your jack out. It's usually in this compartment right here. I've already taken it out. Something else that you might have in your car is a roadside assistance kit with flares, jumper cables, anything like that, safety stuff. That's always handy. Your tire is always going to be under in the back. This one you just have to lower from the bottom with a key, but there's a hidden compartment there that you can lower it with. Your emergency brake is right there, so you'll push that and you'll hear that it does engage. And then the last thing you do is, I have a 2x4 in my car that I put behind my tires, so that it doesn't roll back or forward. So that, depending on what tire you're changing, you'll want to put that on the back or the front. But since I'm doing the front, we'll put it on the back so it doesn't roll backwards. With your flares, you'll want to set them up right behind your vehicle, 10 feet behind your vehicle, and then about 30 yards behind your vehicle, so that people can see you and know to get over. So that's the safety step you need to do. From there, you'll get your tire iron, you'll get your jack out of your car, set it up underneath the car, not on the door frame, on something that's connected to the frame of the car. I've done it on the door frame one time, and that made the door jack up for the rest of the year. So, but from there, what you'll do is you'll loosen your lug nuts. Some cars have 4, some have 5, but you'll want to loosen them up so that they are easily able to be taken off. And so what I've done is I can loosen them up right here with my tire iron. It has a wrench on it to take it off. You'll loosen those before you jack the tire up, just to get them loose, because once you lift that tire up, it's just going to continue to spin. So a couple cranks, 6, 7, 8 cranks, getting those nuts, those lug nuts off will help. And then from there, you'll start jacking up your tire. So I have my jack placed right under where I need to, and what you'll do is you'll just turn clockwise, lifting that tire up. And then when you get it raised up, you want to have it enough to where you can spin the tire. So 6 inches, 5 inches off the ground, enough to be able to take that tire off. And when you get that done, you're kind of set. So once we crank that all the way up, we have the tire 6 inches off the ground. You then take the wrench out of the jack and start cranking back the lug nuts even more to take them off. Now, what you'll do is you'll take one off, and then you'll take the opposite side off, and then you'll take the opposite side from that off, and you'll just do a star pattern. That star pattern is to help it continue to not spin on you. And so once you get that completed, you will have all 5 lug nuts off the car. And if you have a hubcap, you can usually put those lug nuts in a hubcap. If you have a rim, like most of the cars I have, You'll just have to put them to the side of the road somewhere just so you know you won't lose them. And from there, you will take the tire off. And when you take the tire off, if it's rusty on the inside, it's going to be stuck on a little bit. So you might have to, use a mallet, rubber mallet, or you can just kick it or hit it with your hand just a little bit to get it loosened up. Take that off. I'm not going to put a spare on because I have new tires on anyway. So, and I just got them rotated last week. So, but when you take that off, what you do with that tire is you put it underneath your car right here, so that, or in the front end, so that if that jack does come off and your car comes down on it, it's not going to come down on the concrete, it's going to come down on that tire, so that you don't damage your axle or anything like that. Now remember, when you have your spare, you're not supposed to drive that more than, ideally a day or two, and at speeds of less than 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, because those things aren't made for regular wear and tear. So when you get done taking that tire off, you put it underneath the car, and from there you get your spare, put it on, and then you start off with just hand tightening them, and you do the star pattern again, hand tightening those lug nuts to make sure you get them all in order. And once you get them enough to where you can't tighten them in with your hand anymore, that allows the tire not to spin. Then you can crank them a little bit with your wrench. And once you get one set, then you know the tire is going to be good. You can bring it down, lower the jack again to where it's sitting on the ground, and start cranking them again. Now you don't want to tighten them too much. You'll strip them and then you're going to ruin your bolts on the inside, plus you're going to ruin your lug nuts. It's going to be harder for them to get it off the next time. So just tighten them enough to where they're not going to fall off. They don't have any opportunity to fall off. Now remember, when you're doing this, it's nice to have a flashlight as well, because if it's in the dark, you don't want to have to deal with that. And if you do have cones, when you're setting them up, I like the flares. The bad thing about flares are they're not reusable, so you'll have to buy new ones when you get done. But if it's dark, that's the best option. If it's light, most likely cones can be sufficient enough. But flares always get the attention of drivers as well. So something to remember with safety is to make sure you're never under the car. Putting that tire underneath the car will help from it falling if it does fall, but the jacks that are made for cars are not safe enough to where you can move the car and it not shift. The ones in the shops and in the tire shops and stuff are made to hold those cars for a significant amount of time and have a sturdy base. But when you're on the side of the road in unknown conditions, it's better just to stay away from your car on the outside of it. When you're done, when you want to crank that car down, you'll go counterclockwise, and you'll do this motion. And then once it gets loose enough, you can turn it to where you get it all the way to the bottom again, and then you'll pull out your jack, and then you can lower it again all the way to the initial spot of what it was in, and from there you can put your tire iron back in its spot, take your jack, tighten your lug nuts like we did, and then you can remove your block from behind your car, and then you can start putting up your stuff. But you want to make sure that you put it back exactly how you got it, because usually in these types of situations you don't want to just throw it in your car, because then eventually it's not going to get back to the same spot, and then it's going to be hard to get out the next time. So safety concerns really are just the biggest issue, especially at nighttime. You don't want to be in a situation where you have an opportunity to have a car hit you or anything like that. So, and then you just put it back in your spot where it's designated. There are hooks right here, and then the tire iron, the wrench goes in there as well. And then what you'll do, close it back up, and then you're ready to go. Put your tire in the back and take it back to the tire shop. At this point, it's a good time to check all your, once you get out of off the road and into a gas station, it's a good time to check all your pressures on your tires, just to make sure that they all do have good pressure. And the tire usually has the PSI on the outside right here, and if it doesn't, it's on the inside of the driver's door. So that's how to change a tire without going too drastic into taking everything apart.